Hello, motherfuckers. I just saw this video. It's kind of fucking ass.
Hey
So
guys,
let's
welcome
watch it.
back. Today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be making a video talking about these PvZ retrospective videos
Not everything he says
and
is
my thoughts on
goofy,
them.
but like he
Because
said so much
there's
fucking
a lot
stupid
of
shit.
these videos that just pop up.
Fucking
Especially the
dumb.
Beaks video, which is made I think 2 weeks ago as I'm
Side note:
speaking or
this
something.
motherfucker
And the
cannot figure out
majority
how to
of it
balance
is
his music
basically just
and his voice properly
full of
because like through
misinformation
the
and just
entire
lack of
video,
research.
it's like the same
Real quick, I
volume,
got
if
this
not
idea
louder
from
than the volume
PMJ
that
as well
he's
as a bunch
talking
of
at.
other creators I'm putting on screen. But yeah, so basically these videos are just full of misinformation, and they could be summed up as very biased when it comes to the newer games after PvZ, the first PvZ game, and also EA bad
He is
PopCap
speaking the
good.
truth here,
So as for this EA bad PopCap good argument,
and
it
that
can easily be dismantled as EA is just the publisher. Yeah.
all right. Here's the first bit that's kind of goofy. Saying EA is just the publisher, well, yeah, one, they bought PVZ. They're on the board of directors. They have control over what happens. And two, the publishers can tell the developers what to do. As far, let's Google it right now. Can the publishers of a game tell the developers what to do? Third-party developer or is in building, the publisher determines the game's goals and creative control is never fully given to the developer. Those goals might be individual steps within the initial development phase or down the road sales opening day and thereafter. So no, it does not matter that they are just the publisher, as he is saying here. The publisher also has control over what happens in the game.
That's right. Crazy. PopCap is still developing the games. They were the ones who decided to add those microtransactions into the game. They were
As far as I'm aware, him saying that they were the ones that decided to add the microtransactions into the game, I cannot say 100% whether this is true or not, because I can't really determine whether or not it really was PopCap or whether it was EA telling PopCap what to do, and then that was essentially got forced into making it look like PopCap chose was the one that chose it. But or if he's just basing this off of, oh well, they're just the publisher, so obviously PopCap made that decision, then he's wrong. But as far as I know, I can't really say one way or the other on whether PopCap was the one that decided to put the microtransactions into Plants vs. Zombies 2.
the ones that decided to lock plants behind a paywall. Some of the OG plants behind a paywall. Here's an excerpt from a video called The Oral History of PopCap, which is also an excerpt from PMJ's video.
PvZ2 came out and it's a tablet mobile thing first, and like they're like, well, look at what EA did. I'm like, I think the most misconception is that EA forced any of that on us. Like that was most of those choices, if anything, were all internal choices that were chosen long before we ever got bought out.
Well, you heard that right. A bunch of these choices were not enforced by EA, but were made by PopCap. Although, as for EA, I do believe that they are a worse company than PopCap. They're like really greedy. But as for these games, they just publish them. PopCap does the developing of these games. So basically, what I'm saying is EA bad, PopCap bad. End of story. Real quick though, before I dive into the Beaks video, is that I've only really played the first two tower defense games, Plants vs. Zombies 1 and 2. I've never really played the Garden Warfare games, nor
I'd like to pause here just to apologize for the fact that my mic is being weird right now. Sometimes it just decides it wants to start picking up my the audio from my desktop. Um, anyways, so real quick right here, he mentions that he only played the first two tower defense games, and I feel like it's not like it matters that much, but it does matter a little bit, especially because one of the most egregious examples of Plants vs. Zombies declining that I'm pretty sure a lot of these videos that he's saying are bad right now talk about is Battle for Neighborville and how it like totally shit on all of like the shooter games, and that's how terrible it was. Now, I myself have not played it purely because I heard about how bad it was and how there was no variance in the game, and basically went, yeah, that sounds like something I do not want to spend my money on. But anyways, he hasn't played it, so I personally think that's it's not like he has to play them, but he is missing part of what makes some of these videos say the truth. I think some of these videos really do, like, he does point out some good things, or he does have some good arguments on why some of these videos don't really have the best ideas, but yeah.
Battle for Neighborville nor Heroes. I personally think the first two tower defense games are good. You can agree, you can disagree, I'm fine with that, but also I'm not that one person who defends Plants vs. Zombies 2 from any form of criticism, nor am I that one person who shits on the game for no reason, because EA bad, PopCap good, and microtransactions. And I know most people watching might just take me for some drama queen who's just trying to stir up drama with other creators, or some attention-hungry cloud chaser who's just starting beef with other creators. But personally, I don't care. I just want to get my thoughts out of my head for once. Also, when
Personally, yeah, I don't think he is, like, hold on, I forgot to put my live reaction on there. How can we call this a Z-Lod video without the live Z-Lod reaction? Alright, okay, alright, so, personally, I do think that he is making this video because it's what he actually thinks, and not because he's clout chasing. That's, like, even if he's saying some stupid shit, I still think that he really is just making this video because it's what he thinks.
talking about the Beaks video, I will be skipping through when he talks about Plants vs. Zombies 2, because the first part is basically him just complimenting the first game. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's just jump into the video.
Nuclear bombs.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Alright, we're already off to a bad start. He's already shitting on the game before diving in.
No. It's not a bad start, really. In this video, he's going to call the game bad. So, at the start of the video, he's expressing what the video is going to be like. Like, this is basic writing. Like, for example, you're in school, you're in high school, you're writing an argumentative essay. You gotta start with your hook. Your hook, well, the very start of it is what at the very start of it, you kind of preface what you're going to be saying in the video, or what you're going to be saying in the essay. That's what he did. He just prefaced what he was going to be saying, basically. He did not like Plants vs. Zombies 2, and he was going to be calling it shit. He called it shit. He doesn't have to explain. He's going to explain that very soon after this. He doesn't have to immediately jump into the explanation of why it's so bad. He's allowed to preface it with a meme, okay? It doesn't make it a bad start.
It's 2013, there I was. I had just got done playing some Plants vs. Zombies and, oh, what's this? One of my favorite mobile games is getting a sequel? Oh my god.
Alright, let me be straightforward with you. It is not a mobile game. It was first released on PC. It has a mobile port, but it's...
This is one of the stupidest points he makes the entire video. It's probably made by some anger fueled bullshit because he just really did not like this video or something. This is one of the most goofiest fucking points in this video. Because of the fact that he's literally, it's actually a PC game. Yeah, well, guess what? Some people played the mobile version and didn't even realize it was a PC game. Guess what? Yeah, not everyone knew it had a fucking PC port. Hell, I didn't, for years, I didn't know it had a PC port. I thought it was just a mobile game. I didn't even know it was on Steam. It was years and years before I even knew that he was not just a mobile game. So, no, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, it's one of his favorite mobile games, because it has a fucking mobile port. Which means, guess what? He was playing it on his phone as a mobile game, not the PC version. Which means, it's one of his favorite mobile games getting a sequel. Oh! I'm almost feeling like I'm getting as mad at this dude in the video as because of how stupid this fucking point is. Actually, it's a PC game. Nobody cares.
It's not a mobile game. It's a PC game.
In Plants vs. Zombies 2, they changed two of my favorite things about Plants vs. Zombies 1. First off, they changed the art style and the way everything looks in Plants vs. Zombies 2. I really don't like this new art style at all. Everything just looks so... I don't even know how to describe it, mate. It looks so, like, meh compared to the first game.
Yeah. Now, I will say, if I remember correctly, after this, he treats talking about the art style really weird. Either he barely talks about it, or, like, he says some really fucking stupid shit about it, when the reality of the situation is, him calling the art style bad in PvZ2 versus PvZ1 is entirely subjective. Something that I like to say is that if the worst thing about a game is its art style, then you have a pretty good chance of it not being that bad of a game. Because the art style of game is entirely subjective, number one, whether you like it or not, unless it's, like, painted in feces or something. And also, well, the art is entirely subjective. I don't have much else to say. It's a very simple concept. Art is subjective, which means some people are going to like it, some people aren't. And saying that you're right or somebody else is wrong because of that is very stupid. And, yeah.
Game. That, and I also just much prefer the way the plants look in the first game as opposed to the second game.
Oh my god, he's already going for the art style of the game. Okay, I don't mind the art style of PvZ2. Hell, I would even argue that PvZ2's art style looks better than PvZ1's art style. Take a look at Starfruit. Take a look at Tanglekelp.
Honestly, PvZ1 Tangle Cup looks better if you ask me.
Although I do agree that Gravebuster in PvZ1 looks better than in PvZ2, but just because it's a different art style, it doesn't change the design completely of each plant and zombie. I mean, the brown coats...
Yeah, I was right. He kind of... His argument is kind of stupid. Because the fact that instead of immediately going to the obvious conclusion of art is subjective, which means his point doesn't really... Which means that the point at that point in that video doesn't really mean that much, he immediately goes into comparing it at the same level, like, one really is better than the other. That's not how that works. Like, one's better than the other to one individual. You may think one is better than the other, but, you know, that doesn't matter. Personally, I prefer PvZ1's art style. Maybe it's because I just, you know, like, saw it first, I like it better, but I like PvZ1's art style better. So that's just my preference. I'm not going to say PvZ2 is shit because it has a different art style.
They still retain their original design.
Secondly, they changed the music in Plants vs. Zombies 2. Oh my god, this music is,
Are you having a stroke, my guy? Because I think you want to get that checked out. I mean, what do you expect them to do? Just recycle and reuse the music from the previous game? Of fucking course not!
So, let's come...
One, that happens a lot in sequels. Like, not just recycling it entirely, you know, obviously, but using the music still. Here, hold on a second. I got this shit open. Right now. Example of reusing music in games. I don't know why I did that. Every single party character in Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, you see this? All of them, when you get to the legendary modes, the party time, it is just a theme from Plants vs. Zombies 2. Oh, sorry. Let's move this up. Here, let me pause and go get a kill streak to show you. Now, since you've played Plants vs. Zombies 2, this ought to sound familiar. Because it's literally from Plants vs. Zombies 2. They just took the music from Plants vs. Zombies 2 and put it into this game. Because they were reusing it because it fit well.
Music from the first game to what happened in the second game.
Yeah, okay, So like I was saying, him saying, "Oh, you expect him to just reuse the fucking music." Considering how popular things like Loon Boon were, it is actually semi-reasonable to think that they might be using some of those soundtracks somewhere in the game. And to my knowledge, I have not played a whole lot of PvZ2, but to my knowledge, they do not reuse any of the original, very popular soundtrack of which they absolutely could have. I'm not saying they should have just not made any new music for the game. I'm saying that it is entirely reasonable to think that. I'm like, personally, I don't care if they reused it or not. I don't think the music in this game is bad at all. Okay, but continuing.
Game.
You compared Loon Boon, a fast-paced track, to Ancient Egypt, which is a more slow-paced and calming track. Dude, you're not just limited to Ancient Egypt's soundtracks. Check out.
Alright, so here, I think he has like he has a good point hidden here in here somewhere, but basically, my issue with this particular segment is purely just, it wasn't a comparison just between Loon Boon and Ancient Egypt. It was, the music was being used in a conveyor belt level. What he was comparing is a special level in PvZ1 that has Loon Boon, which is very good, versus a special level in PvZ2 just having a very boring, sleepy track in comparison. That's what he was doing. He wasn't just comparing two different music that didn't sound anywhere near the same for no reason. Like, if you wanted to compare the regular level themes, he would have just compared Grasswalk to that, of which is very calm and slower, just like the Ancient Egypt theme. And, no, admittedly, this actually is a little slower than Grasswalk, but either way, he was not comparing those two. He wasn't comparing Loon Boon and Ancient Egypt like they were both just regular themes. They were comparing it. He was comparing both of them being conveyor belt levels, extra levels, the special levels in between. I'm sure that was probably like the boss level or something of Ancient Egypt, and where it's not playing something higher paced or anything. It's playing, yeah, which personally I don't really care that much, but he sits there and says like he's such a massive dumbass for comparing those two songs. It just did not sit right with me.
Out Pirate Seas, check out Wild West, check out Far Future, check out Dark Ages, check out Big Wave Beach, check out Frostbite Caves, check out Lost City, check out Neon Mixtape Tour, check out Jurassic Marsh, check out Modern Day. Hey hero, didn't you just name all the worlds? Of fucking course I did! And I think this comment on a Reddit post about your video basically explains it better than me. Bro really just slandered PvZ2's soundtrack like, Peter McConnell is an amazing composer and did an outstanding job of setting the mood of the world.
Yes, I do personally think that the PvZ2 soundtrack is fine. I don't think it's bad. He was, but the thing is that it's not like that one point dismantles his entire video. If anything, the fact that it was bolstered with so many memes kind of shows that it wasn't meant to be taken as seriously in the video. But don't take my word for it. Just take whatever interpretation you want. It's just what I think.
Genres because it's in the 80s. Lost City's music has a filter put over it to make it sound like the music is coming from a radio. Goofy ass motherfucker. Also, he called Ancient Egypt music bad. It was composed by Laura Shikihara, who made the PvZ1 soundtrack. This video has so many misinformation.
First off, this video has so much misinformation. Sorry, I had to. Okay, and two, he wasn't saying that it was a different composer. He never said anything about the composers. All he said was that it was boring in comparison, of which, like I said, it's not like I think that's a fully, like, oh, I don't think it's some kind of super accurate point. Oh yeah, fucking PV2 soundtrack sucks, yeah. But the thing is that he was comparing the music of the two games, not the music of two composers. He could have known that it was composed by the same person, but either way, this, like, it's not a good point, but the same point still stands.
Also, Beak, you said this.
I understand, if your levels are all set in different places throughout history, you're gonna want music that complements these settings, and for the most part, Plants vs. Zombies 2, it does this pretty well. When I'm in Egypt, this music makes me feel like I'm in Egypt.
But you also said...
Oh my god, this music is,
You at first say...
I'm sure, I think that's like, like I said earlier. Now, this is just my perspective, but there's a difference between when he's making a point and he's just sat there saying it, than when he's putting a bunch of memes around it and making it seem more like a joke. He has to put entertainment value in the video. You have to remember that.
that the music is bad, but then you say that the music is good. Dude, make up your fucking mind! And yes,
He doesn't
the
have to,
music in
shut
this
up.
game are absolute bangers. Here, have some samples.
Side note, there is no correct take, dumbass. There's no
Those are just some examples. Also,
Like I've said multiple times in this video, I do agree that I think PvZ2's soundtrack does not sound bad. I think it's good, especially because of the fact that he played some of those clips right there. I think those are brilliant. But the thing is that in this video, he takes a lot of things the wrong way and makes a lot of goofy
Also,
points,
a majority
probably
of the
because he
tracks
was
were
a bit
composed by
blinded
Peter
by
McConnell.
because he was just like
But did you know,
angry.
as mentioned
you know.
before, Ancient Egypt's tracks were composed by Laura Shigihara. Also, she composed an unused Pirate Seas track, which is playing in the background, before she left PopCap. I would also think that it would be more fair if you compared the front yard track in the tutorial, as well as modern day's first wave and mid-wave A track with Grass Walk, as well as modern day's mid-wave B soundtrack with Graze the Roof, as well as the removed Ultimate Battle tracks with Ultimate Battle, as well as Demonstration Minigame with Brainiac Maniac.
But there is one massive problem with Plants vs. Zombies 2, and it's all thanks to two letters. As we all know, EA are very, very greedy. If you can think of a way for EA to make money on something, don't worry, mate, they've already done it. When PopCap Games was bought by EA all the way back in 2011, I think it's an alarm bells ringing in everybody's minds. Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's littered with microtransactions and adverts and all of that type of stuff. Earn gems, earn coins.
Again, with this EA bad PopCap good thing, EA just publishes the game.
Like, I'm not going to repeat myself again, but just to reiterate, because I said this a lot earlier in the video, this does not matter. It does not matter that they, quote-unquote, just published the game. Publishers, everyone could see, I looked it up. Publishers have say in what happens in the game. Publishers can control tell the developers what to do, which means yes, EA can absolutely be the ones telling PopCap to put microtransactions in the game.
PopCap does the developing. They're the ones that decide to lock plants behind paywalls. They were the ones that added those microtransactions. Let me tell you something, Beak, that'll absolutely blow your mind. Did you know that you do not need to pay $7 for plants just to beat one level in Big Wave Beach or Modern Day? Yeah. Want proof? Here's a new profile that I made before.
Alright. God, I'm not even gonna let him finish this point because of how stupid it is before I start talking. Okay. Just because you were able to sit there and play through the game without buying any money, without buying anything with real money, does not mean that it suddenly is not a pay-to-win game, or it's suddenly not a game where it's trying to get your money. Plants vs. Zombies 2 still very much is bloated with microtransactions and is trying to get your money from you. Just because you did this does not mean that everyone else wants to. Some people want to play with the fancy premium plants because they look cool, or they have a harder time playing the game because it's their first playthrough instead of their second or third, and can't do it without buying plants, or they want to upgrade them and can't do that without buying them. Just personal experience in being able to, I played this game without buying anything. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean everyone's going to do that. It's a terrible argument. It's like saying, you don't have to pay money in Genshin Impact, or you don't have to pay money in every single generic mobile game that makes you pay money for basically to win. You don't have to. That's the whole point of free-to-play. You technically don't have to, but you absolutely are incentivized to. You absolutely can. It's something that a lot of people will end up doing. That's why this point is so stupid.
Or PopCap made it so you cannot create a new profile. Yeah, I did not have to spend a single buck on a plant. And as for the premium plants that I have, I only have to spend gems to obtain those plants.
This is a certified hood classic.
Plants vs. Zombies Heroes is a Hearthstone type of card game that, well, this game just doesn't exist. Apparently, this game was released on...
I actually kind of want to play PvZ Heroes again after watching this because of the fact that I kind of forgot about it, but I played it at one point actually myself. Then I deleted the save on accident and never played it again because I got a super rare character just before I did that. Yeah, it was sad. Right.
On the 18th of October 2016, meaning that was apparently released before Battle for Neighborville. But look around you, mate. I mean, do you know anybody who's ever played Plants vs. Zombies Heroes?
Alright, this point's kind of stupid. I will say Plants vs. Zombies Heroes isn't as popular as 2 or the first game or the shooter games. Yes, that's true. But there's still a community behind it like there is about everything. There's still every game, especially when it's part of a decently large franchise like Plants vs. Zombies, will have at least a semi-large, at least an okay-sized community behind it. Not just there are some games that only have the super fans just stuck behind it, refusing to leave. But Heroes is not one of them.
Exactly. No one's ever played this game before.
And nobody plays SCP Secret Laboratory because I didn't know this game existed until now. Like I mentioned before, I've never played Heroes, but I just wanted to use this segment just to apply his logic to other games. So for the rest of the video, he basically just goes on to explain how the games died. And it's more EA bad, PopCap good. But let me check out the comments section for this video to see if anyone agrees with him. Okay,
I'm literally skipping past this fucking part. It's so stupid. He is just fucking echo chambering. Alright, I'm skipping this part partly because this video is kind of long. He just gets his own arguments echo chambered by the comments for how long? For a whole 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. He's just echo chambering his own points for the rest of this video in the comments, and I'm not gonna listen to that.
The next part. Real quick, I know this is a video about where I give my thoughts on retrospective videos on PvZ, which is full of misinformation, but I also want to talk about George Fan, the creator of Plants vs. Zombies, and many people said that he was fired. And that's not true. He was simply laid off. So here's the difference.
Alright. This does not mean shit. The technical difference between being fired and laid off in this context does not mean shit. Because obviously they're gonna they don't if EA does not want it to look like there was anything bad between them, and they want to make it look like there was no bad blood between, and it was just a well-adjusted, or it was just a agreed upon business decision, they will say they laid him off instead of firing him. This whole technical definition bullshit between being laid off and being fired, it does not matter. The reason why he was laid off instead of fired was because EA would look really bad if they outright fired him. So they used the term laid off. They didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't fit our business model. It's just like no, that doesn't fucking. What he says here does not fucking matter. It's such a stupid point, and it's because the fact that it's like a good handful of the other points in this video. He is just pulling at anything he can to make himself sound better. He's trying to make his points sound correct, even if, like, when you actually look at it, they're kind of garbage. Like this one. Yes, they technically laid him off instead of firing him. But that doesn't matter here, because the fact that it's still the same reason. He is gone from the company by EA's decision, and as we're going to see here, confirmed by him, it was he did not support the microtransactions being put in the game. Which means, basically, that any person who wants to come to logical conclusions on this is going to say this. This is what they're going to say. EA laid off George Fan because of the fact that he was against the microtransactions they were putting in the game, and since he was the original creator, they knew his voice was going to be important, and since they wanted the microtransactions of the game so badly, they laid him off so that he could not prevent them from putting microtransactions in the game. That is what most people, as what almost anyone would come to the conclusion as, and it's kind of the same thing I think. Obviously, they're not going to outright say that they laid him off or fired him or whatever because of the fact that he was against microtransactions. Because of the fact that just makes them seem even shittier than what everybody else calls them already. They don't want to look even worse than they already do. It is very reasonable to say that the reason why George Fan is out of PvZ now is probably because of the fact that he was against the microtransactions in PvZ 2. That's very reasonable to say.
Getting laid off and getting fired. The difference between being laid off and being fired is that if you are fired, the company considers that your actions have caused the termination. If you were laid off, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong.
Oh, and one thing. I'm shitting on him for using the exact Google result when I did that earlier in the video. Let me explain the difference between this. What he is explaining here is an exact definition of it's basically semantics. So
that's just a little something that I wanted to add. Not only was this proven wrong by an article that I'm about to show, but it was also proven wrong by George Fan himself.
Regarding the recent rumors, it is true I was laid off by EA PopCap, and it's also true that I was against making PvZ2 a freemium game. That's all I'll say on the matter for now. This is a big example of what I said earlier. He was against it, and he was laid off, and I personally think, and he sat there trying to make this tweet look like he's the correct one. In reality, him showing this tweet actually makes his point look weaker and stupider, because anybody looking at this from an unbiased point of view will see that this and immediately think they laid him off because he was trying against making it a freemium game. Because, like I said, that's the logical conclusion you reach from that.
Crazy, am I right? But after creating Plants vs. Zombies, its creator stepped back. He chose not to create the sequel of the game. Rather, Fan decided he wanted to continue working on independent titles. Fan left EA because he didn't believe in making free.
this article is probably a bit misinformed itself, and he's using it here because it literally just said that he was laid off by EA, not that he left. If George Fan had left EA, he would not have said he got laid off by EA, because when you leave a company, it was your own choice. When you get laid off, it was laid off. Being laid off means you have lost your job due to changes that the company has decided. Yeah, you do not decide to lay yourself off. Okay. He did not leave because of the fact that he got. Yeah, no. He did not leave. He got laid off. He got booted. He got the boot. Except it was a really soft boot because they wanted to save face.
Free-to-play games, microtransactions. He believed in making indie titles like the Sanaquarium game made before tackling PvZ. Yes, as mentioned, after making Plants vs. Zombies, George Fan simply moved on from the game, and he also simply declined when asked if he wanted to work on the sequel. And yes, he did not really believe in making free games with microtransactions. But again, he was laid off, not fired. So for this last part, I want to show you this tweet by someone called LT Beast, the official LT Beast. And this guy does agree with the Beaks video, but he isn't an EA bad PopCap good person. He's just someone who hates the PvZ community. And this tweet absolutely made me mad and might make you mad. So here's this Reddit post, and
I'm just gonna. He like reads it out and shit himself, but I'm gonna do it for him before he can. He get them. It's my video now. And this game is very good. Blah blah blah. You can read. You can see how stupid this is. Effectively, this guy is just the most sane Twitter user, and he is shitting on PvZ basically just for existing. You know, he just seems to hate PvZ or something, and he's saying that the game's all dead and it's just super fans and apparently pedos and toxic tryhards. It's a Twitter user. What did you expect? I'm not. In fact, I'm actually gonna skip through this point because of the fact that yes, it is that stupid. It's so incredibly stupid. I'm not sure why he entertained this dude for 16 minutes to 19. I'm not sure why he was entertaining this tweet for 3 whole minutes. Like 3 whole minutes of his video he spent entertaining this absolute shit take of a tweet. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this man was trolling hard.
And oh boy, I can't wait.
The Twitter user was just trolling hard.
Video. To be honest though, I do not know where he came up with those accusations. It's like he just pulled it out of his ass. Also, again, I genuinely do like the first 2 tower defense games. You know, despite the second game not being in a very good state, gameplay is still good. Despite all the weird shit that PopCap's doing.
Could this man at least make his fucking music not overpower his voice constantly?
Are not in the best state. And as I mentioned before, people might take me as a clout chaser, people might take me as a drama queen, but I don't care. I just want to get my thoughts out of my head for this topic for once. It's just that these videos are just full of lack of research. EA bad, PopCap good, and they're just going by rumors that have already been debunked. And these people who talk about these games, they probably haven't even played them. And the only time they install Plants vs. Zombies 2 is to go onto the store, take a screenshot of the many microtransactions that there are, and then leave. Again, when it comes to free games, a company has to make money out of it somehow. I'm not defending microtransactions, but that's how business works. I would also like to mention that no, Plants vs. Zombies is not dead. PopCap is still working on Plants vs. Zombies 3, as well as they're still updating Plants vs. Zombies 2, again, even though they're doing some weird shit with those games, and the community is still active and supporting the games. The only thing...
I'm gonna finish this. Okay, so... Man, editing and logo. Anyways, okay. Look, I have my own conclusion now. Basically, this video says some good stuff. a lot of stupid stuff. The video that he reviewed from Beak says some good stuff, but a lot of stupid stuff. And my video only says good stuff, obviously. Ugh. But anyways. Take this how you will. I'm not saying you have to accept my opinion. You can think everything he said in this video is totally right. I don't give a shit. As long as you don't start saying stupid shit to everyone else and making it real. Look, I think what he's saying is stupid. You're allowed to agree with him if you want. Just don't start going on rants on Discord or something about how he's so right and blah, 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 blah. Keep your opinion to yourself. Actually, you know what? Fuck you. Keep your opinion to everyone else if you want to. I realize how much of a hypocrite, but I sound like that. I'm not keeping my opinion to myself right now because I'm making a 40-minute video. Look at this. Look at it. Look at this. I'm recording for 42 minutes. I'm not keeping my opinion to myself. You're allowed to not keep your opinion to yourself. I cannot tell you to do anything that would tell you to not keep your opinion to yourself. Spread your opinion as much as you like. I won't agree with you. I think you're saying stupid shit. I think he's saying some stupid shit. But yeah. Anyways, in conclusion, this guy's kind of dumb. Like, he's probably just angry at a few things, but yeah. On one hand, he keeps calling... I think it's funny that he keeps calling them misinformed. Meanwhile, one of the first things he said... He keeps calling everyone else misinformed, while one of the first things he said was that EA was just the publisher. It's kind of funny. But anyways, I'll go ahead and bye, motherfuckers.